welcome to the Hardline Curling Show. We've got another great show for you as championship season rolls on. On this episode, Team Homan's incredible run continues at the Scotties. The United States crowns its Olympic mixed doubles duo, and Maritime Magic reigns supreme at the Canadian Under-18 Championships. All of that, plus with the Brier set to begin, we meet the teams in Pool B and talk to a rookie skip chasing a championship in Kelowna. We're officially on the clock, so let's get started. The number one question heading into this year's Scotties Tournament of Hearts was whether anyone could slow down a Rachel Homan team that is in the midst of one of the most dominant stretches of play we've ever seen. A two-year run in which they've been almost unbeatable, and after 10 days of great curling in Thunder Bay, the answer is an emphatic no, as Team Canada capped off an undefeated week with a successful title defense and a gold medal game that didn't even go the full 10 ends. But before we dig deeper into some of the numbers behind Homan's fifth Scotties title, let's revisit some other storylines from the tournament. It was seventh heaven for Laurie St. George and Team Quebec early in the week. Facing Manitoba's Caitlin Laws in their opening draw, the Quebec rink set a new Scotties record with 7 stolen ends en route to an 8-2 win, breaking the old mark of 6, which had stood since 1987. Then in their next game against Carrie Galusha's team from the Northwest Territories, St. George and company scored a rare 7-ender, just the third in Scotties history, as part of a 12-3 victory. Unfortunately for Team Quebec, those accomplishments did not translate into greater success, as they would fall just short of playoff qualification, finishing 4th in Pool B with a 5-3 record. In fact, 5-3, a record that's often good enough to earn a playoff berth, was not this year. In her first Scotties as a skip, Nancy Martin and Team Saskatchewan also going 5-3, only to finish 4th in Pool A. Martin did not leave Thunder Bay empty-handed, though, as she received the Marge Mitchell Award for Sportsmanship. Now, as for the playoffs, they saw some fresh blood, with 3 skips making their first Scotties playoffs at that position. 2 of them were in Pool A, alongside 8-0 Team Homan. Alberta's Kayla Skurlik and BC's Corin Brown both finished the round robin at 6-2. That was also the record for all 3 teams in Pool B, with 4-time Scotties champion Carrie Einerson earning top spot by virtue of wins over Christina Black of Nova Scotia and the third playoff newbie Danielle Inglis of Ontario. Now in the Page 1-2 qualifiers, both top seeds took care of business, as Homan and Einerson made a date for the 1-2 Page playoff game, but the losers of those qualifiers got a second chance as they advanced, and both made the most of it as Team Black rebounded to lead Nova Scotia over BC, and Skrillex Alberta squad defeated Inglis and Team Ontario. They would meet in the 3-4 Page playoff game, where the Nova Scotians would prevail in an entertaining 8-7 victory to move on to the semifinal. Meanwhile, in the 1-2 Page playoff game, it was a heavyweight matchup between the top 2 skips in Canadian women's curling, and it was Team Homan out-curling Team Einerson at every position in an 8-4 win to punch its ticket to the final. Einerson, however, would bounce back with a thrilling 9-8 victory over Black's Nova Scotia squad in the semifinal, setting up a rematch with Homan for the Scotties title. After all the drama leading up to the final, the championship game itself may not have been a classic, but what it did deliver was a showcase of Team Homan's current dominance, as the defending champions controlled the game from start to finish, pulling away with a couple of late steals to secure a 6-1 win in the 2025 Scotties title. Just how dialed in was Homan in the championship game? Well, she curled a flawless 100% to become the first player at any position to record a perfect shooting percentage in a Scotties final. It's Homan's 5th Scotties championship, only one shy of the all-time record shared by Colleen Jones and Jennifer Jones. And with a second straight undefeated run to the title, Team Homan also tied its own record for Scotties' consecutive wins with 22. They'll now look to extend that run of supremacy with a second straight Women's World Championship. That tournament kicks off March 15th in South Korea. Let's turn our attention south of the 49th parallel now. While Canadian curling fans were glued to the Scotties, American fans were locked on Lafayette, Colorado, site of the U.S. Mixed Doubles Olympic Trials. With mixed doubles curling still a relatively new addition to the Olympics, this year's event was just the 3rd U.S. Trials, and we saw a 3rd different champion crowned, as the Duluth, Minnesota pair of Corey Thies and Corey Dropkin prevailed to move on one step closer to wearing the Stars and Stripes in Italy next year. The 2023 world champions did not get off to a great start at the trials, losing their first draw, but they hit their stride after that, winning their remaining 8 round-robin games to finish first place at 8-1 and advance directly to the 1-2 Page playoff game. And in that game against Sarah Anderson and Andrew Stapera, it was all Thies and Dropkin as they'd take it by a score of 10-3 to book a spot in the final. Anderson and Stepera, however, would rebound in the semifinal, defeating 3-4 page playoff winners Madison Bear and Aiden Oldenburg 7-5 to set up a rematch with the two Coreys for the trials title. USA Curling using a best-of-3 format for the championship, and Game 1 would require an extra end, with Thies and Dropkin pulling out a thrilling 8-7 win. That meant Anderson and Stepera had to win Game 2 to keep their hopes alive, but it was Thies and Dropkin putting their foot down early, jumping out to a 4-0 lead through 3 ends en route to a 6-3 victory, with the team shaking hands after 7 ends. Now, for the trials champs, who also both recently captured the U.S. women's and U.S. men's titles with their respective teams, the win makes up for some past heartbreak, as both players have twice finished as the runner-up at the Olympic trials in traditional 4-person format. However, the Olympic berth is not yet secure, as they still need a good result at the upcoming World Championships to officially qualify. The United States currently sits 9th in the qualification rankings. The top 7 nations after Worlds will join host Italy in the Olympic draw. The World Championships open on April 26th in Fredericton. What began as a mission to simply make it to Saskatoon in time to compete ended in a double dose of national glory for a pair of Nova Scotia rinks, who gave us a case study in better late than never en route to claiming the Canadian under-18 boys and girls curling titles last weekend. With winter storms wreaking havoc on a number of teams' travel plans, the Nova Scotia squad's long and winding road to the Nutana Curling Club saw them drive from Halifax to Montreal, fly to Winnipeg, and after another flight cancellation, eventually on to Saskatoon, where they finally took the ice in their first game 2 days later than originally scheduled. But once they arrived, the Blue Nosers were all business. The girls' team, skipped by Cassidy Blades, cruised through pool play with a 6-0 record, while Zach Atherton's boys' foursome followed suit, winning all 6 of their games by at least 4 points. After defeating Team Quebec 2 in the quarterfinals, the girls then proceeded to knock off Team Ontario 1 in the semis, setting up a gold medal showdown with Team Alberta 2 from Red Deer, skipped by Abby DeSormo. Blades and Team Nova Scotia had the upper hand early, grabbing a 5-1 lead midway through the 8-end final, but DeSormo would respond with a 4 spot in the 5th to tie things up. However, Blades answered right back, scoring 3 in the 6th, and that was all the breathing room she would need, as Nova Scotia would go on to an 8-7 win. Over on the boys' side, Atherton faced his first real test in the quarters, slipping past Dane Heisler's team from Moose Jaw 5-4 before downing Alberta 7-4 in the semis. The final proved to be a one-sided affair, as Nova Scotia capped off an impressive week with a 7-1 victory over Tyler McTavish and Team Ontario 1, with the team shaking hands after just 6 ends. It's the second girls and second boys championships for Nova Scotia at the Canadian under-18s. They also swept the titles in 2018, the second year that the tournament was held. And there's a family link between the two teams also, with Atherton's sister, Stephanie, throwing third stones on the winning girls squad. And wouldn't you know it, the only other Nova Scotia skip to win a national under-18 boys title just happens to be joining us now as he prepares to make his Montana's Brier debut. Owen Purcell is one of a handful of skips who are competing in his first Brier this year. Owen, welcome to the Hardline. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me. Super excited to be here.
For sure. Now, before we talk about the Brier, we were just recapping the under-18s. Of course, you have good memories of that tournament. What do you recall from your victory way back when?
Oh, it's just an awesome experience. That was my first national, and super awesome experience. Made a ton of friends. And actually, what was really interesting was a lot of the curlers that I played against throughout that event. I happened to play against them in future juniors later down the road. So yeah, awesome experience, and I'm super happy for those two teams, and especially Zach and Stephanie Atherton. What a great accomplishment, hey?
Yeah, that's so cool. Looking back, how much did that event and winning it sort of prepare you for that transition as you made it out of junior?
Well, it kind of developed like the hunger to want to get better and to want to keep at it, because when like we won the under 18s, and then we were like, hey, you know what, we can probably take a really good run at the juniors when we get a little bit older. So just kept working hard, and yeah, the rest is history.
I imagine there was a bit of a boost for Nova Scotia curling after you guys won, and I imagine there's probably going to be another boost after these recent championships and sort of the younger levels of the game and the juniors, as you mentioned. What does it say about the state of curling in Nova Scotia that these two teams were able to win this year?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic for Nova Scotia, and it shows that we're just in a really good spot right now. And we're doing something really good with our development. And I think we need to stick with what works. And we have lots of really hardworking, talented hurlers. So I think just embracing that, and I think we'll be in a great spot in the next few years.
For sure. Now, obviously, good memories of that event and some great memories for you to come this week. Your first time at the Brier. How long have you been dreaming about being able to compete on this stage?
And ever since I started curling, like ever since I was 7 years old, you watch all those guys on TV, Stoughton, Martin, Howard, all these guys. I really want that to be me. And I remember the Brier in 2010 um, was in Halifax, and it was so special to me because that was my first time to really get a sense of like the Brier experience. And ever since then, I've just been hooked. And um, all of the hours training and the blood, sweat, and tears has been put into this. So I'm really excited to be able to finally step out onto that ice and that environment, and show what we can do.
For sure. What's that going to be like when you guys head out there for the first time, or you specifically?
I think it's I think it's going to be a little bit emotional just to be in that environment, but more than anything, it's just excitement.
Hmm.
Um, it's our first time getting to play in the Brier, for me, I guess. But just being able to be in that environment where I got to see all of my curling idols and all these people go through wars and some of the best curling matches ever. Um, it's going to be an amazing experience, and I'm really, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, for sure. Now, you've obviously been close the last couple of years at provincials. What did it mean to break through this time, and what did it take to get over the hump this year to book your Brier ticket?
Well, I think that it was a relief, to be honest, and it's kind of like that self doubt kind of starts to creep in a little bit naturally. So, but we didn't really change a ton this year, other than the fact that we just worked really, really, really hard. And I think that made the difference. We just put in our heart and soul into this season. And I think that made all the difference.
For sure. Now, of course, you're a rookie, but your teammates have a ton of experience at the Brier. They've all been there before. How much are you going to rely on their experience for this event?
Yeah, I think that Scott and Luke having lots of experience at the Brier is going to be very helpful. Especially like, well, Luke kind of with the more modern side of things, and Scott having been there 6 times um, a few years before Luke. So definitely going to be relying on them just for the more so the off ice things, like the up close and personal and the autographs and interviews and stuff. But I'm hoping that some of my experience playing in some nationals and world championships will be able to help me um, get adjusted quite well to the actual playing side of things.
I was going to say, once you're on the ice, it's just okay, a rock and the throw and a sweep, right? It's all the same, right? No matter no matter how bright the lights are.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah. How beneficial has Colleen Jones, your coach, been this season? Obviously, she brings a ton of championship pedigree to your guys' team. Can you just touch on how incredible she's been as a coach to have in your corner?
Oh, she's fantastic. I mean, she's she's just been really good at us, like for us to be able to establish routines and pregame plans that work for us, and being able to put together practice plans and facilitate a practice and then identify things that we need to work on. and she just doesn't miss a beat. She goes to every practice. She doesn't mess up anything. I don't know how she does it. She just is perfect. And I think it's very easy to see how she's won so many championships just because she's perfect. She doesn't make mistakes and she sticks to routine perfectly. And it's definitely rubbing off on us. And I think it's a fantastic addition for us. Where last year we were having some troubles with routine and being organized. So definitely a huge step for us.
Yeah, very cool. Of course, Luke joining your team, that's his mom. What has the addition of Luke been like for your team, and how did you end up getting him on your squad after going against him?
Yeah, so Luke is a fantastic curler. He's been playing in Nova Scotia for a while now. But he's kind of like the competitive fire that we need on our team because going into this season, we lost our lead, Adam McEachran. He had to go to school in the States to study chiropractic. So Luke was kind of one of our first options because he's just kind of got that competitive fire that Adam had that we needed to kind of fill that void on our team. So Luke is fantastic for that. And at the end of last season, we just got in contact and it was just like, you know what? I feel like we can put together a really good team out of Nova Scotia here if we get Luke on board. And he joined seamlessly. And I think that his addition, along with Colleen, the two of them together, just elevates our team that much more.
Yeah, and here you are, right? It's all come together. So when you look at the schedule, when you look at the draw, obviously you're in a pool with 4 rookie skips. Do you sense there's opportunity now to make some noise at your first Brier in your pool?
Well, I think that I was thinking about this earlier, and I'm actually pretty grateful that I'm going to get the chance to play against a lot of teams that we've been playing against for the last few years. So a lot of the teams in our pool, we've been playing against them for a few years, so we kind of know some of the things to expect. So I think that that's a good thing, but the teams are very hard. Every team is really hard here, and we'll have to play well to do well. So I think the chips will fall where they fall, but if we play well, I think we will do well. So.
For sure. Now, we've touched about all this experience and everything, but with it being your first, is there one thing that you're really looking forward to? Whether it's on ice, off ice, everything else involved in Kelowna this week?
Well, off ice, I've definitely been enjoying the really fantastic weather here and some of the nice restaurants that we've been able to go to so far. But on ice, I think it's just going to be stepping on that ice for the first time and being like, you know what, we belong here. So I'm really, really looking forward to that experience, seeing the sold out crowd and hearing the cheering, and can't wait to get started.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time, Owen, and best of luck in Kelowna at your first Brier. We'll be watching.
Thanks. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Time for a break. When we come back, we'll introduce you to all the teams, including Team Nova Scotia, that make up Pool B at the Montana's Brier.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. It leave it all out there on the ice, to leave behind a legacy.
The Canadian Curling Trials. The thing we cried for, fought for, thrown 1,000 rocks for. The podium, just out of reach. But we can almost taste the gold medals in our teeth. Defiant, we take down giants with nothing but the stones in our hands. And in the stands, they wait and see who among us will earn the right to wear the maple leaf.
With another Scotties in the books, it's now time for the men to step into the Canadian curling spotlight. The 2025 Montana's Brier kicking off this weekend in Kelowna, BC, as 18 teams chase a national championship. Last week, we introduced you to the 9 teams competing in Pool A. Now it's time to meet the teams in Pool B. The top-ranked team in the pool is also one of the newest, but given its lineup, it's no surprise they've had immediate success. Last week's Hardline guest, Brad Jacobs, won his first and only Brier title in 2013, but this could be the year he wins number 2. After joining forces with third Mark Kennedy, second Brett Gallant, and lead Ben Hebert, who spent the last 2 seasons playing with Brendan Botcher. Together, the trio has a combined 11 Brier titles. With Jacobs at skip, the squad is the number 2 team in Canada this season, winning more than 70% of its games along the way. They reached the final of the last 2 Grand Slams and look to be in top form as they roll into the Brier. Team Jacobs is playing out of Alberta, but is not the provincial champion as they pre-qualified for this year's event, as did Team Mike McEwen, which is one of 2 rinks repping the Nutana Curling Club in Saskatoon. The second direct entry in Pool B also has plenty of Brier experience, and after a runner-up finish in Regina last year, they have to be considered one of the top contenders once again. This will be McEwen's 10th Brier appearance. He hasn't missed one since making his debut in 2016, so is also his 10th consecutive appearance. Third Colton Flash, who's playing in his 8th Brier, is the only member of the squad who's won the championship before having done so in 2019 with Kevin Cooey. The front end features the Marsh twins, Kevin and Dan, at second and lead respectively. It's the 4th Brier for them. Now, the team also has some major experience on the bench, with 9-time Brier finalist and 3-time champion Brett Lang serving as the alternate. As mentioned, there are 2 teams coming from Saskatoon's Nutana Curling Club. The other is the Saskatchewan champions, skipped by Ryland Kleider, making their Brier debut this year. It's a cool family milestone for Kleider, whose father Dean played in 2 Briers himself. Team Kleider has been knocking on the door for a couple of years now, losing in the provincial final to Team McEwen last year and starting this season by winning the Tier 2 title at the Grand Slam of Curling Hearing Life Tour Challenge. Now, the young skip is joined by longtime teammates Joshua Mattern at third and Trevor Johnson at lead, while second Matthew Hall is in his 2nd season with the squad. The alternate is John Mattern. Over to Ontario now, where we find another Brier rookie set to don the red and black. However, while Sam Murraybrook is playing in his first Canadian Men's Championship, he has not only performed on the national stage before, but performed well, winning the 2023 U Sports Curling Championship out of Wilfrid Laurier University. Murraybrook has claimed 3 Ontario University Athletics Conference titles. In all, his team from the Whitby Curling Club punched its Brier ticket by defeating defending provincial champion Scott Howard in the Ontario final. The lineup includes third Ryan Wiebe, second Scott Mitchell, and lead Nathan Steele, while the alternate is Gavin Lydiot. From a fresh-faced newbie to a former champion returning after several years out of the Brier spotlight, Jean-Michael Menard is back at the championship for the first time since 2017 and 12th time overall. The 2006 champion linking up this season with Felix Asselin, who represented Quebec on 4 previous occasions, most recently in 2023 when he skipped the squad for the first time. Menard will serve as the skip in Kelowna, but he'll throw third stones, while Asselin will throw 4th. The team is rounded out by second Martin Crate and lead Jean-François Trepanier, while the alternate is Pierre Charette. Now, Nova Scotia brings us another Brier rookie and skip Owen Purcell. 3rd time was the charm for Team Purcell, which finally broke through on the national stage after runner-up finishes at the last 2 provincial playdowns. Now, the Halifax Curling Club team is currently ranked number 50th in the world, and they've got some literal championship DNA in their lineup, as third Luke Saunders is the son of legendary skip and 6-time Scotties champ Colleen Jones, who also happens to be their coach. The team's front end is composed of second Scott Zachary, who's making his 7th Brier appearance, and lead Ryan Abraham, who, like Saunders, is making his third. Now, believe it or not, 26-year-old Tyler Smith is already making his fifth trip to the Brier this year. The Prince Edward Island skip has had his best performance yet at the National Championship in Regina last year, posting a 5-3 record and narrowly missing the playoffs. The 5 wins were more than he had at his first 3 Briers combined. Now, Smith will be looking to build on that this year, and you can bet none of the other teams in Pool B will be taking PEI lightly after what he did last year. The Spudlanders lineup includes third and vice skip Adam Cox, second Christopher Gallant, and lead Ed White. Now, our final 2 teams hail from Canada's north. Thomas Scoffin is becoming a fixture as the skip for Team Yukon, with 2025 marking his 6th Brier appearance, all within the last 8 years. He's shown slow but steady improvement, winning a personal best 2 games in each of the last 2 Briers. Now, given his experience and the number of first-timers in Pool B this year, it could be Scoffin's best chance to make a playoff push. Contributing to the cause will be vice skip Kerr Drummond at third, Trig Jensen at second, and Joe Wallingham at lead. And finally, we have yet another rookie skip who defeated a longtime Brier veteran to punch his ticket to Kelowna. Aaron Bartling leading his Hay River Curling Club team past Jamie Cooey in the Northwest Territories final, denying Cooey what would have been an 18th Brier appearance. Incredibly, Team Bartling played together for the first time at the Territory Championship. The foursome includes third and vice skip Darcy Delaray, second Norman Bassett, and lead Eric Preston, with Adam Nogler serving as the alternate. And with that, the field is officially set. All that's left to do is play. The opening draw of the 2025 Montana's Brier is going Friday night. The final is scheduled for Sunday, March 9th, and you can keep up to date with all the latest scores by visiting curling.ca/scoreboard. And that wraps up another jam-packed show. Thanks again to Owen Purcell for sharing some time with us. Be sure to keep up with their Brier Chase all week long. And remember to follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up with all the latest news. You can also find every episode of the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Our next episode will come your way March 7th. Until then, thanks for watching and good curling.